Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I'm going to do my July TBR. Now, TBRs don't usually work for me for a number of reasons, the main one being that I'm such a mood reader that having a stack of books just isn't gonna do me any good because I'm gonna read what I want, basically. And also, they kind of stress me out. However, I did a TBR for the month of June and it was great. It went really, really well, and I'm going to post my June wrap-up soon, so you can go ahead and see what I read from my June TBR there. But I actually read a good amount from that, and it was really helpful. It kept me on track. I feel like I'm getting ahead with review copies. I've been drowning in ARCs for so long, which is my own fault because I keep requesting them, but I feel like this has really helped me get back on track with my reading, so we're gonna try again for July. There are a couple things that I'm super, super excited to read, definitely going to read, and there's a whole ocean of things that I want to read, but I've narrowed it down. So I think I've got about 12 or 13 books on this TBR. I know I'm not going to read them all, but I'm going to do my best. I've got a good pool of things to pick from, and if I deviate from my TBR, which I inevitably will, I will not feel bad about it. So I have 3 books that are definitely going to be read in the month of July, and they're all kind of long. So hopefully I will be able to get other stuff read around these, but these are either upcoming releases or they are recent releases that I'm so looking forward to reading. One of them being my most highly anticipated book of the year. I've also just realized that these are all sequels, and I loved the first books in all of these series, which is probably why I'm so particularly excited about these ones. So to start off, I have probably easily one of my most highly anticipated books of the year, if not the most, and I was not expecting to get a copy of this book. I was very, very lucky. I was on Twitter at the right time and I managed to get a copy of The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This is the sequel to The Poppy War, which was my favorite book of 2018. I loved that book so much. I'd never really read anything quite like it in terms of its influences from history and how dark it was, and I've read grimdark before, but nothing quite like The Poppy War. So I'm really, really excited to read The Dragon Republic, and I am currently reading it. I am on page 179, and it's already everything that I wanted it to be. One of the things that I'm really liking about it so far is the fact that I can't see where the narrative is going to take me, which I think is the perfect thing for this book. I want to be surprised. I don't want to guess what's going to happen. So I'm really, really thrilled about this. If you don't know about The Poppy War, it is a grimdark book that is fantasy based on Imperial China and a lot of Chinese history, and it's real dark. It kind of, I think, takes a lot of people by surprise because it starts out with our main character, Rin, who is a girl who decides to kind of yank herself up out of poverty and test into the premier military academy in the country. And so it's kind of like boarding school trope to start with, and then war breaks out about halfway through the book, and then it's oh fuck, the realities of war. And it's excellent. It's really good. It really feels like 2 books put together. However, it's done in a way that actually works, which I love. So I'm loving this. I'm actually reading it a lot faster than I thought. I started this yesterday and I am almost 200 pages in. So I think I'm gonna be done with this week, and I'm really, really, really excited to see what happens. This book comes out on the 8th of August, I believe, and I am really, really looking forward to not only reading it now, reading it early, but also reading other people's reactions to it when it comes out, because I have a feeling this is just going to destroy all of our souls, and I'm totally here for it. The next book that I have is one that I am, so thrilled to have in my hands. It is the sequel to a book I read in June, so a fairly recent read, and I usually don't turn series around this quickly, but I loved that particular book so much. And this next one comes out on, I believe it's the 25th of July. It's late July here in the UK. And I can't wait to find out what happens in Jade War by Fonda Lee. Jade City is phenomenal. It's so good. It's think The Godfather in an East Asian setting, but with kung fu and basically magic powers. It's awesome. It's really cool. And the thing that I really enjoy about it is that while the magic system is incredibly important to the story, because the Green Bones, who are the warriors who use jade to enhance their strength and their senses, it's really about politics. It's about family. It's about the city and what's going on and who is going to end up on top from these two crime families, basically. And it's just so good. And something happens in the middle of Jade City that literally, I was listening to the audiobook in a train station, it literally made me gasp out loud and embarrass myself. And shit gets real, as it does in fantasy books, and I need to know what happens to all my beloved characters. I desperately need to know because, like, it's making me so nervous to like have this hanging in limbo over my head. I need to read this and I need to read it soon. So I think possibly after the Dragon Republic, I'm going to get to Jade War and I'm so excited. The last book that I have that I'm definitely going to read in the month of July is one that's actually already out. It came out at the end of June, and I feel like I discovered this series because of blogging and like being in the book community and everything. I don't know if I would have discovered this on my own. So I'm really thankful to like blogging and to the publicist who sent me these books and everything because I love this series so much. This is Crowfall by Ed McDonald. It is the last book in the Raven's Mark trilogy. The first one is Blackwing, and then we have Raven Cry, and now we have Crowfall, and like, I'm so sad that this is coming to an end, but I'm really excited to see how everything wraps up. This is another grimdark book, but it's grimdark that's actually fun, which feels slightly confusing. It's kind of like a Western feeling setting, and it's set just outside of this area called the Misery, which is where kind of magic has gone haywire, the sky is cracked, you have no sense of direction, you have to have people literally navigate you through, and there are these horrible creatures that live in the Misery, and it's just amazing and awesome. And there's a lot else that's going on as well that I won't go into because of spoilers, but I really enjoy this. If you like that kind of frontiery, westerny vibe and you enjoy grimdark, you should definitely pick these up. I think that they're a little bit lighter on some of these stuff that you expect from grimdarks. They're very violent, but there's not any, that I recall, there's not any sexual violence or anything like that. They're just really fun, really dark books, and they're great. I can't wait to read this. The next set of books that I have actually roll over from my June TBR. I have these three. I wanted to read them. I didn't get the chance to read them. One of them I'm a little less worried about because it comes out in September. One is already out now, which I kind of missed the boat on, and one comes out in July. So if you want to hear more about these books, because I'm not really going to elaborate on them, you can check out my June TBR below. But the first one is The Girl in Red by Christina Henry. This is a Little Red Riding Hood retelling in a post-apocalyptic setting, and I really enjoy her books, so I'm really looking forward to this. This came out in June. Then we have Lord of Secrets by Brianna Tientz. This is from Joe Fletcher Books and it comes out in July, so I still have a little bit of time. I can definitely still read this one, and it's kind of like, from what I've heard, it's like almost like lighthearted fantasy, which feels so kind of strange and bizarre to me at this point. I'm really looking forward to this. And the last one is 10,000 Doors of January by Alexi Harrow. This comes out in September, so I'm not hugely worried about this, but I do want to read it as soon as I can because I've heard it's wonderful, and like everyone I know has loved this book if they've managed to get their hands on a copy and have read it so far. So I really want to read this. It's less of a priority in terms of publication date. However, I just want to read it because it looks beautiful and wonderful and really fun. And I've heard that this is just so, it's such a book lover's book, apparently. I'm really looking forward to this. I don't know much about it, but it just sounds so good. I mean, look at it and like, oh. Next on my list is another review copy. This is The Girl Who Could Move Shit With Her Mind by Jackson Ford. This is one that came to me from Orbit, and I think it also came out in the month of June. This sounds like so much fun. I've heard that it's a really wonderful kind of speculative fiction summer read, which I don't usually think of sci-fi and fantasy as being summery, but apparently it's just so much fun. It feels kind of like a blockbuster summer film. So it's about a woman named Tegan, and she has, I think, some kind of telekinetic powers, and she's employed by the government to do shitty jobs. Someone turns up murdered in a way that only like someone like her can have committed, so she has 24 hours to clear her name before supposedly just everything goes to hell. This looks really fun. I love the title. The title is my favorite thing, and I just want some good silly fantasy fun. This looks like it's gonna be perfect. Next, I have a book that I bought for myself for my birthday because I felt like I deserved it. I think it's one that defies explanation, so I will link the book depository link down below. You can check out the blurb for yourself. I don't think it's one of those books that I can explain without having read it first, but this is Middle Game by Shauna McGuire. It's a new fantasy book from her. It's a full-length novel, and I've only read her novellas. I've read her Wayward Children series, and I don't know what the hell this is about. I read like 30 pages of it and it's super weird and I'm totally digging it. Yeah, I don't know what this book is about. It seems super weird. It seems like it's gonna combine like fantasy and sci-fi and horror in a multitude of fun and exciting ways, just like Shauna McGuire always does, and we'll see how it goes, but I have no clue what it's about and I don't think I know anyone who's read it either. Next, I have a choice of 2 books from the same author, one of which I was approved for on NetGalley yesterday, and the other has been sitting on my shelf for a long time. So I'm going to choose one of these, possibly both, who knows. But the first is The Age of Assassins by R.J. Barker, and the second is The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. So this one is his Wounded Kingdom trilogy, and it's all about an assassin who is, I think, basically contracted to stop an assassination on the king, I believe, and it looks really, really fun, and it's a complete series. And then we have The Bone Ships, which is his new series that's coming out in September, I believe, in the UK, and it sounds amazing. I got to hear him like chat about it a little bit at Comic-Con in May, and it sounds like so much fun. He totally sold it to me. So I'm gonna read one of these 2. I don't know which one it's gonna be, but I'm gonna read one of them. The next book that I have is one that I'm going to read with one of my best friends. This is The Copper Promise by Jen Williams. This is one I have no idea what it's about. I bought it because my lovely friend Bethan, who is a blogger at the Fantasy Hive, loves Jen Williams books. So I bought it on Bethan's recommendation, which I do a lot. Bethan makes me buy a lot of books, and it sounds like it's just gonna be one that I absolutely love. I really like Jen on Twitter, and that's apparently how I choose all of my authors if you're new here, and I'm really looking forward to this. My very, very, very good friend who I used to work with, and I no longer do because I got a new job, I abandoned her. We've started like a little 2-person book club because we are trying to see each other every couple of weeks. So we're gonna try to read a book together once a month. The last one was 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty, which was terrible. We both hated it. So The Copper Promise will hopefully be better. I'm really, really looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to reading anything by Jen Williams. And the very last book that I have on my TBR, although I will doubtless read other things in the month of July, is The Heroes by Joe Abercrombie. I'm really looking forward to A Little Hatred in September, and I feel like I need to read The Heroes and Red Country before I can get to A Little Hatred. So hopefully I'll read this month, I'll read Red Country next month, and I will be all caught up on the First Law World before the new trilogy comes out. But this is a standalone in his world. So we have the First Law trilogy, then we have 3 standalone novels. We have a book of short stories, and then we're gonna have this new trilogy forthcoming. So this one I actually started 3 years ago. I got to page 132. I still have my bookmark in here. But I was trying to read it while we were moving from Edinburgh down to Oxford, and I had 2 screaming cats on the train with me. They're both sitting right there looking at me. They were screaming their heads off, especially Sophia. She does not like being in her little crate thingy, and it was miserable, so I have a lot of miserable memories associated with The Heroes, but it's been long enough, I've forgotten pretty much everything that happened. And I am really looking forward to reading this. I love the Northman in his books, and I love all of the characters that we got to. I remember really loving them. I don't remember who any of them are. But his books are grimdark, but they're super fun, and they're really funny, and he does this amazing job with kind of twisting tropes and inverting your expectations. And the First Law trilogy has one of the best endings I've ever read, and Best Served Cold, which is the First Law novel, not novella, is one of the best revenge stories I've ever read, and probably my favorite angry woman character. She's so good, she's terrifying. So I'm really looking forward to reading this because I hear that this might be my favorite one from people who have read it and know me, and then I have Red Country, which is more kind of like a Western book. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm really hoping to get the chance to read this in the month of July. It is 600 pages long. The Dragon Republic is almost 700 pages long, and then Crowfall's like 500 pages. Middle Game's like 500 pages. Hopefully I'm gonna read a lot of books this month, but I also have a lot of pages to get through, and like, good lord. Those are all the books that I'm hoping to get to in the month of July, and no doubt I will again deviate from this TBR. However, I am going to do my best to read through as many of these as I can. I feel like my June TBR was like life-changing. It somehow, maybe I just picked a really good TBR, I don't know. But I feel like it just worked and it was great, and it was the first time a TBR has ever worked. So I've got my fingers crossed that this is gonna go okay, but we will see. In the comments below, let me know if you've read any of these books, or if you have set yourself a TBR for July, or if you have any tips for making sure that you do stick to your TBRs. That I would be very interested in hearing. I post bookish content to this channel fairly frequently, so go ahead and hit subscribe, check back soon, and I will see you next time.